All right, you're welcome. Good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're joining us. Okay, so we'll just get right to it. Just like she said, the topic is transitioning to core communications, the conversation about skills and competencies. Okay, the very first question, essay. What's the difference between a skill and a competency?
Okay, so yes, and actually, I'm going to give you textbook definition here, so bear with me. But I think it's important because some of these things are so closely related, but just separating them can take a little bit of work. So, just textbook definition, dictionary definition. It says a skill is a specific ability that an individual possesses, such as the ability to write well. Some people actually have like very good writing skills, and to communicate excellently orally. It's also a skill. And then oral or written form, project management skills. That's a skill. Public relations skills, media relations skills, that kind of thing. So the ability to do something well is a skill. Musical skills, whatever. Now, knowledge. So even though the question about skills and competencies, I want to talk about skills, knowledge, and competencies. Knowledge is the theoretical or practical knowledge of a subject. Please remember that definition. Knowledge comes in two forms. There's the theoretical knowledge, there's the practical knowledge. Both are important. I want to make that very clear because a lot of what we're going to be talking about is because before you can get to a place of competence for anything in this life, there is a place for the theory and there's a place for the application. Don't tell me you're somebody that all you do is application, theory does not matter. In the same way, don't also say you're somebody that is 100% theoretical and application does not matter. If that is the case for you, then it means that you're probably in the academic setup. But if you're a professional and you're a practitioner, then theory and application should go side by side. And please just make sure, I'm hoping that you all can still hear me. Karen has gone off, so I'm hoping that the problem is on her side and not mine as well. So just give me feedback. If you can't hear me at any point, please let me know. So that's to the definition about skills and knowledge. Then competency is then a combination of skills, knowledge, and behaviors that enable someone to perform a task successfully in a particular context. So keep that in mind as well. So competence is a combination of skills, combination of knowledge, and then behaviors that enable someone to perform a task successfully. Now, why this is important is that, and I was the one that added that particular context because I saw a definition that says that skills are not transferable between that competencies are sometimes not transferable between one company or one role to the other, whereas skills can be transferable. And even though I sort of I wasn't quite sure of that definition, but I agree to the point that is why sometimes competence in one role does not mean, for instance, that you're a good communications person in the NGO world does not mean that you are competent doing communications in the energy sector, because the context is different. Which is why when people are recruiting, they are recruiting for competence, not only for skills. Are you with me, please? Do you understand? Because you may have the skill, you may have the knowledge, but are you competent for this particular job at this time in this context? Because every job has their own unique context, specifications, dimensions, scope, and peculiarities. It's for that reason that you see some people very good in the private sector, they move to the public sector, they crash and burn. Why? Because even though they have the skills, which is transferable, maybe I was a finance manager, I was this and that, I was the chief finance officer, so you make me finance whatever in the public sector. But then the complexity in the public sector is completely different. And the competence that is required there is completely different, about managing complex personalities, politics, and so many other things. If you're unable to function in that way, so you were competent, you had the skills, you had the knowledge, the technical knowledge, but the competency, which includes skills, knowledge, and behavior, you may not have had it for this next role. And this, again, why we chose to have this topic at the end of the year is that this is a good time for all of us to begin to reflect about what our skills, our knowledge, and competencies are. And we begin to make, plans towards next year. So when, they are recruiting for certain jobs in your organization and you think, oh, I have the skill, I have the knowledge, there is a competence that is required for that level. Maybe managing senior leaders. No, you're afraid to talk. Right now, you can't even challenge, you can't look your leaders in the eye and you want to become lead. Who is going to put you there? Nobody. They know you can write a press release. They know you can. They know you can talk to people. I mean, you can do things at working level. But can you challenge? Can you present to the board? If you are unable to do those things, you are not competent for this job. Nobody is saying that you don't have skill or you don't have knowledge for this job. The requirements, which has to do with behaviors now, ability to manage your own behavior and the way you relate, that competence is a different thing. So this is all ground setting, and I'm glad that you're following me. Thank you for the comments, Abiodu and Maka. Oh yes, I love that feedback. That really makes me know what to do. And it tells me that we're on the right track. So I really thought very deeply about this course, and I'm thankful to God for giving me the direction on what, the choice that we should use, because that really, the feedback I'm getting from you is telling me that you're all really, really following me, and that gives me a lot of joy. So the next thing that I want to then talk about is, so then what is core communications? Because the title is saying, what is this about transitioning to core communications? Now, the reason why I chose this topic for this last LinkedIn Live this year, well, in quotes, is because I've been in conversations with people who have been talking about, in fact, some people say, oh, I have a flair for communications, or they think they can have a career in communications because they do certain things. And I've started, it's had me thinking, and I'm like, first of all, a lot of people don't even know what core communications. They don't even know that there's something called core communications. I was introduced to that title or that way of speaking when I was in my former role, when I was working, in a long time role, 9 to 5 type of thing. And we used to ask ourselves, there was that balance to be like, oh, is it core communications? Are they in core communications? So there was an understanding that some people were in core communications and some people were like in supporting communications. I haven't heard people use that term since I stopped working in that environment. So I'm introducing this here just so that you know that in certain environments, there is the understanding that there's what is called core communications, and there is what is called supporting communication. I will try to differentiate between the two. This is more in like international global settings, and I will try to differentiate between the two on this session. I hope I am successful, so that you then get a sense of what I'm talking about. So what is core communications? How is it different from other forms of communication? So again, I'm going with textbook definitions, and then I'll try to explain. So core communications is the field that enables targeted information sharing to identified audiences and stakeholder groups in a manner that meets their needs and achieves desired outcomes. Are we okay with that? So yes, and you achieve desired outcomes in terms of perception, awareness, buy-in, behavior modification, support, opinion, action, or sentiment. The objective of the activity is not just to share information, but to influence perceptions, attitudes, beliefs, and action using communication. Are you listening to me now? So core communications is the field that focuses on enabling sharing of information for the purpose of achieving a desired outcome. The first thing is it wants to meet the need of the audience or the stakeholder group, but it also wants to achieve an objective. And that objective is either it wants you to act in a particular way, it wants to influence your perceptions, your beliefs, or action, but it is using only communication to do it. Please, this is different from PR, because PR is using relationships. Communication is focused on, we are hinging it that message is going to do the work for us. PR does not think that way. PR uses message and relationship and behavior. Comms there is like, I may not even know you. I have no intention of even meeting you. But my messaging, I will work on my messaging. I will study you. And I will work on my messaging in such a way that even if I don't see you face to face, the kind of thing I would have wanted to say to you to face, but I've not been able to do, I do not have the platform or the space to say, my messaging will do the heavy lifting for me. If you are involved in that kind of thing, you are in core communications. But if you are not, maybe you are the person doing something else supporting that, you may not be in core communications. Let's go on. We'll progress info. And please start dropping your questions so that I can start seeing them. Because I know I'm saying a lot of things that will be mind-boggling to some people. So if you need a bit more explanation, just let me know. So core communications is the field that centers on this information sharing and perception influencing at the heart of its reason for being. It's taking everything on the messaging and the process of deploying the messaging. It's not banking on the fact that, oh, I'm going to see you afterwards, I'm going to invite you for a face-to-face. At the point where you start having the engagement and the face-to-faces and the relationship building, you are using messaging, but it's more, you're also adding the PR element of it. But the comms person, the comms person wants to make sure that the messaging does the heavy lifting. If at all relationship is coming into it, is like 20%. So, and examples of this happens, Dasat says tailoring messages to appeal to the target audience. Thank you. Damilola says the field that focuses on using communication to achieve a desired outcome. Yes. And I will at some point talk about the differences between PR and comms. There are similarities, but I always like to make, there's a difference. And why I always want to separate it is because I see PR people being recruited into comms roles, people who don't really have the propensity for comms. And I'm really going to try in this session to separate my observations over the years of the people that have the PR skills and the people who are really core communications people. Straight off the bat, I will tell you that most of the PR people tend to be extroverted. People who thrive the best in comms tend to be more introverted. It doesn't mean that they can't do the extroverted job, but I'm saying what your natural senses. I don't know why it is that way. I'm not also saying that if you're an extrovert, you cannot be a comms person. I'm just saying that what I've observed is that the people who tend to thrive most in the PR, external facing, relating with people, community relations, investor relations, government relations, media relations, as in actually meeting and engaging people on a day-to-day basis, are more extroverted. And I have hardly ever seen anybody that really, really enjoys that aspect of the work being good at the comms side. And I will explain what that comms side is about. Now, what are the core communication skills? Another question I could ask. Now, the skills at the heart of what I'm calling core communications. Let me tell you what they are. So before you jump at me, you understand why I say it's different from public relations, from the PR element. We're all in the same family. We're under the same roof, same umbrella, but the skills and the competencies are different. And I would really recommend a lot of what I'm sharing today. I have not really shared it in any of my sessions to this extent. So I would really say, if you're somebody that you need to build this understanding in-house, please share this video once we have it uploaded on YouTube or even on LinkedIn, because I think it will be very, very useful. So for people who are involved in core communications, some of the skills at the heart of this. Can strategic comms exist in both? I will get to that. LinkedIn user, since I can't see your name, I will get to that question in a bit. So the skills at the heart of this are: one, audience, stakeholder research, and data analysis to start off with. And creative writing, messaging and content development, subject matter expertise, communication strategy development, communications project, program delivery, program management, performance management and measurement, traditional and social media management strategy, issues, crisis, and stakeholder management strategy, particularly issues and crisis management. The whole strategy development piece of it is very much a comms sort of thing. PR people can get involved, but PR people tend to focus more on the relationship aspect. The comms person is focused on which messaging, the messaging strategies at the heart of it. And because a lot of us don't pay attention, if you notice, most of the crises that go bad is because people don't pay attention to the messaging. So we have people who, they are PR people. They do not understand the power of message. They do not know that words win wars. They do not understand that. People go to battle based on the words that are shared. The comms person understands this. We focus on the science of language. We focus on the psychology of language. We focus on the psychology of the audience. Your message, I want to quote the Bible. You know, when the Bible says that God says his word will go forth. It will not return unto him void. That is what a core communications person is concerned about. That word must not report. It must perform. So before your word can perform, that means you've done a lot to make sure that you have researched your audience well enough to know what will resonate with them. And then you are couching your messaging in a way that it's going to deliver. The word on its own, the messaging on its own is going to be delivered. It's crafted in such a way that the audience gets what they need from the message. They're able to interact with it, they're able to embrace it, they're able to do and the action that I need from the word. I am not banking on the fact that somebody else is going to shock it up for me. So this is what core communications people are focused on. But people who are PR are more focused with the actual presence, as in how I relate with the person and deliver the message or whatever it is that we're doing, which also works. But then somebody has to sit down. If you did not get your messaging correct, or you did not get the tone and the language correct, that PR person is going to struggle by the time they go out there. They may be able to overcome it because they are relationship-based people, but the message will need their support. But imagine if you don't have the support of somebody, you don't even know if you have somebody strong enough, then that is where the comms person comes in. I hope I'm making a little bit of sense here. So stakeholder, and then communications generally is a large field. So it has different contexts in which it operates. So there's marketing comms, political policy and public sector communications, stakeholder communications, development communications, which also involves behavioral change communications. In fact, that development communication space is the one that proves this whole thing of PR, because you cannot do development communication is not about public relation. LinkedIn user says messaging versus vibes. Exactly. Do you understand? Development communications, if you have not spent your time to go and research about the beneficiaries, about the communities, think about the way in which they think, what they do, what kind of messaging resonates to them, what are the beliefs, the attitudes that they have, what kind of mindset do they have. There is no way you're going to get them to even receive the message that you're coming about clean water, sanitation, don't use water from the well, wash your hand before you bath your baby, and all that nonsense. There is no way that all of that is going to come. You know what I mean? There's just no way. So health risk communications, STEM communications, all of that. So that comes that way as well. So supporting skills are program event management, and so in that context, what I would say are the supporting skills. Karen, you're back. I don't know if your system is allowing you to. Okay, you are on mute, but let's just see how it goes. If you get bumped out again, I would say just don't bother. I will just run it, but that's fine. So in terms of supporting skills are like program and event management, vendor and media partner management, campaign implementation, creative design, visual communications, information technology, platform management, budget and resource management, digital and social media account handling. That is a support to core communications. If all you are, which is not bad, if you are a digital and social media account manager, then you are supporting core communication. You're supporting communications. It's not the core communication. If that's all you are, you're an account handler or you are a community manager, which is fine. Digital marketing too is also supporting core communications. It's supporting marketing communications. It's not really at the core. Why do I say this? I say this because digital marketing on its own just tells you about the platform. It tells you, and ideally it shouldn't be that way, but what I say, I'm describing what I see in practice, not what is ideal. Ideally, digital marketing should be part of core communication, but in practice it is not. Because what I see a lot of people just doing is they are just focused on that platform. They're not really thinking about how what they are saying fits into the bigger scheme of things, which is why some people end up doing some things online that then causes problems somewhere else, because they did not look at the holistic picture and know that this messaging, even though I think it is okay for my platform, somebody else may see it in the bigger scheme of things, it's not working. But somebody with a comms mindset and a training will know, you can't put this on here. It's a typical example of this, and I will not mention the name of the company. There was a company, a very prominent company in the energy sector in Nigeria, that recently got influencers to tweet about their financial statements. I don't know the thinking that made them decide to do that, but there was a massive backlash on social media around it. And because there was a whole lot of narrative, in fact, for me, those are the kind of, anyway, I don't want to, there was just a massive backlash. It was so uncalled for, because, and then again, they chose influencers that normally they're not influencers in the finance space. So everybody just saw it as you're just trying to greenwash, there was just a whole massive backlash. It was, and those are the kind of things that you have when you have people who do not have a communications mindset managing issues that are platform based. So they thought just getting it to trend. I don't even understand that strategy, to be honest. I don't even know what they were trying to achieve, because I think they could have done that and stayed with the business platforms. They could have stayed with, Business Day, Nairametrics, and ProShare, and the rest of them. And I don't understand why they were giving certain types of influencers. But that's what happens when you don't have that mentality. So thanks, I did doing. Yes, I've seen now. So we're on. Karen, are you able to speak now? We're on number 4.
Yes, SA, I'm back. Yes.
Okay, yes, yeah, looking much back now. So okay.
So sorry. So
No,
sorry
that's
for the break. Is this network issues? Yes, I'm back. I'm back. Thank you so much for the wait. But with little seconds, I joined back in. So I figured that we're talking about. I think you're trying to bring the differences between PR and communications and the core competencies and skills. Right, okay. So we're done with question 4. Okay,
no,
but
we're
I think
no, I'm just about to do that. Question 4 is where
okay. I think I can see one question from
yeah.
LinkedIn user. I don't know if you've treated it.
Yes, what was the question? The question was
Said, can strategic communication exist in
exist
both?
in both.
Yes.
Um yes, I mean, some people say that it can exist in both. That's what some people say. Whether or not that is the case, yeah, there's what you call strategic PR. I would say yes and no. I think, well, it depends really. I would say theoretically yes, but I would say strategic comms sits in my mind. It's a good question. I don't know, but I like to make a distinction between strategic PR and strategic comms. Some people say PR is a subset of communications. Perhaps. I think they work together. I think right now, strategic communications should actually be the omnibus of everything. But in practice, I like to differentiate the two because I see that people actually I'm seeing a clear path of people still staying in the PR space and then calling themselves strategic communications people. But anything that they are doing, I don't see anything strategic comes in it. So even though theoretically strategic communications is supposed to cut across both, in practice, what I am seeing out there is PR people still doing their PR, but calling themselves communications people. And then comms people, of course, hardly ever get into the PR stuff, because everybody, they hardly ever call communication people hardly get into the PR stuff. But I think PR people are a bit, I don't know. I think, yeah, and I may be a bit, you can challenge me if you think I'm being wrong. But I think, so let me share a personal story. Maybe this will make it a bit whatever. I was in the workforce when PR started, when the whole comms thing started and PR started evolving into communications. And I think at that point, there was a decision for, nobody really told us, but I think I got to a point when I sort of like decided on my own to enter the communications world. I don't even know how I don't think there was a time I spoke to myself, but there was a time I just said to myself, you know what? Wow, this new practice that is coming, I'm going to enter it. And I entered like a baby. That is the only way learning happens. I didn't go with I am a guru in PR. No, I dropped as if I started as if I did not know anything. And I started learning it afresh. So, but I noticed that not all of my colleagues did that. I saw people thinking they could continue on the PR path and still bring the communication. No, you have to actually, I'm not saying forget what you've learned. I mean, you have to pick it up afresh. Because it doesn't quite, you don't, and that's what I'm saying, transitioning. In fact, this is a good question because that's what I'm talking of, transitioning. Because if you don't consciously transition, you don't take action to transition. Transition doesn't just happen because you are working in an office with people who are comms people. And how do I know this? I know this because of exactly like this kind of example that happened to this major energy company last week. When they did something that anybody that understands the psychology of communication and the whole narrative and the risk management and all these things, you learn it more deeply in comms than in PR. Because again, PR always believes that you can manage things with relationship, whereas comms does not. Because now we're in a communication world. Before you have the opportunity to manage relationship, they've destroyed your reputation on social media. Who has the time to be waiting until when I can call you, I can clarify you? Nonsense. So you manage the risk up front. And if you are a professional and you do not understand this in the 21st century, you have no business calling yourself a communications professional. That's the thing. So people, they don't even understand communications risk. Then you're not, you understand? So the PR people are still living, traditional PR practitioners are still living in the world the way it used to be. That's the thing. Because in the world the way it used to be, you can do what exactly this energy company did and get influencer to do anything. Nobody's going to disturb you. Today, they will drag you for filth like they dragged them. One of the tweets that went out about them had 360 something thousand views. Whereas I'm not aware that anything that company, any statement that company has issued or any of the positive things they've done has ever gotten that level of views. So for me, that's why I draw the distinction, because I see, yes, Medina, I'm sure you know the company. I will let us protect their name and brand, because it's not a name and shame. But I always like to give real life examples, because if I don't, you think I'm just pulling things out of my head. So that is why I keep drawing the line between PR and comms, because if I see the point at which I see the two of them become intertwined, then I will stop making a distinction. But for now, as I'm still seeing it's happening like this, I will continue to make that distinction. Now, perhaps in other parts of the world, in the developed world, maybe I think they probably managed to intertwine it a little bit more, integrate the two. I think in our local, in this Nigerian setup, and probably many parts of Africa, maybe sub-Saharan Africa, I think they're still running at two separate paths. And that's why you are seeing a lot of, comms teams just floundering and this and that and things that shouldn't really, really happen. So yes, back to you, Karen. I hope that answers your question. Caleb says it takes courage to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Exactly. And humility, Caleb. I would say humility more than anything, because I think what I observed with a number of people was the unwillingness to accept that I do not know. And what I mean, for me, I thank God for the point at which there was a point when I realized that, oh, Sola, you don't really understand social media. And I humbled myself. I joined a church group, my social media team in my church, and there were 20-something-year-olds there. I joined them. They were the ones that taught me how to make a Twitter thread. I was already on social media as of that time, but I didn't understand how online activity, how the platforms think. I didn't understand user behavior well enough. So I started engaging, I started staying there. My goodness, now I understand social media like no man's business. But me and these guys, we now on Twitter was the thing then. So we set up a group, we developed a strategy for when we want campaigns and events to trend. I started learning things about how to create a buzz. I understood that there were communities within Twitter. There's the political community, there's the financial community, there's the, even within Nigeria, you have one party, this other party. When I want to find out what's happening in the north, I know the people I should follow. If I want to find out what's happening in Arewa, I know the people that I will get the Arewa gist from. You know what I mean? When I also want to find out what the Aso Rock people are doing, I know the people to follow. I understand all of that now. I also know that Facebook is the place where fake news lives and dies, and that if you're running a political campaign, you had better be battling misinformation on Facebook. They will kill you. They will destroy your reputation there. All of that I understand now. I had to learn it. So, and I've been involved with. So when I'm advising a client on how to manage your risk, I am taking all of that into consideration. And so I would never allow you to push out a message that can provide ammunition into the hands of people that would want to do something bad to you. So managing that communications risk is at the heart of everything that I'm doing. Why? Because I understand the big picture. And I'm not basing it based on the relationship I have with whoever in Aso Rock which is what the PR people do. They say nothing will happen. Don't worry. Do you understand? They are so focused on the relationships they have. Relationship cannot save you from social media, from information in people's hands. It can't. Before you begin to manage it, problem has already started. Something has gone out. People have pulled their funding, and all that. So anyway, back to you, Karen.
Wow, that was a very robust answer. Okay, I didn't know he has told us that LinkedIn user is Nkem. Okay, so Nkem, yes, I believe your question has been answered. That's really robust. But there's something key that Essie said. manage the situation up front. So that means there has to be serious preparation. Well, okay, I know we're hitting it off and we're really, really enjoying this. I'm enjoying myself too. Anyway, so the next question, let's start running. So, essay, I don't know if you touched initially, what are the core communications competencies?
Yes, I think I let me just check.
Touch that.
Core
Okay.
communications competencies. No, I think I've touched that on already. Okay, no. Okay, so let me get there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's I think I'd already talked about it. I talked about the audience, the research and all of that. So the competencies I would say, I had talked about that okay, audience stakeholder research, data analysis, creative writing, and all of issues, crisis, stakeholder management, communications projects delivery, being able to develop a communications project. For instance, like this company that we talked about, this that had this challenge of wanting to get their financial statements out. There needed to be somebody who could have said, okay, you know what, we've had this entire issue with this stock exchange, whatever, and we've issued our financial statements and we need to send it out and let people know that this is what we're doing. And then somebody needed to have been able to come up with a project and say, this is how we will mitigate this risk. We'll do it in this way and this way and this way. And that's it. So the ability to do that and then manage risk. So they had a challenge and then do it without any noise and possibly positive outcome. So the ability to do that is really, yeah. So those are the things. So the competence is now being able to do it, knowledge, skill, and then behavior. So in this case, they had the knowledge, they knew what to do, but they missed it in terms of the how, because they didn't anticipate the social media risk or the backlash. For me, it was such a, oh Lord. Anyway, it's okay. It was I don't even understand the thinking process, and I think social media particularly, those of you who are comms leads and communications managers supporting major brands, either public or private sector, you really need to be very careful, because people just don't understand the risk. They just don't. I see a lot of people, you don't understand social media, and you are not even humbling yourself to try to understand how to use it for a big brand, that people are using it in a particular way for politics, entertainment, or lifestyle, does not mean that your corporate brand should use it in that way. Even me, that I won't give these influencers my things to plug. How will you be giving a billion-dollar naira company to be give to no, these things ought not to be. So, like I said, I will continue to draw a line between PR and comms until I see behaviors that shows me that people really. So again, as I said, core communication. People that did that, I'm sorry, they're not core communications people. They're not. They're not. I with full chest, I say it. Back to you, Karen. So,
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Of course, they can't be core communication. They can't be core communication professionals even in the first place. But just like you said, there is always the distinction between PR and communications. In fact, I believe that once that is known, that should settle everything, because we know that, see, this is not PR. This is serious communication and it's serious business. So we have to put in the work to avoid bigger disasters. Okay, thank you so much for that essay. So having known all this, you've talked about knowledge, skills, and behavior. Okay, so what does it take? Like, how does one transition into core communications?
well, I would say, for one thing, I would say, okay, I'll give you the short answer of different things. So one, attend industry. I mean, if at all there are events like this, any platforms, online, virtual, that talks about communications, not PRO, comms. Once you see that word, go there. Join professional associations that have communications in their name. Again, not PR. Although there are some PR, if it's international, CIPR, I would say, has a healthy communications remit, although even they are very PR focused. But they, I would say, like I said, developed world, it's more integrated. So even though they are CIPR, there's strong communications elements in it. But to be honest, again, like I said, I still see a little bit of that tilt towards PR, but it's fine. So volunteer for roles. I mentioned it, Amaka, but it was fast. How for do now? It's a long list. Okay, I will try. Maybe I will try, and when I write the updates, Karen remind me.
Sorry, Amaka.
I will write it in the chats when I do my caption after this program, because it's a lot. I had to really like brainstorm and ask myself, what should I be saying? So attend industry, then join professional associations, volunteer like I did. I volunteered to enter my social media team. I was fortunate to work in an office that really trained us in communications. So the strategic communications framework, which is part of what I teach in my courses on strategic communication, as you can see what is on the ticker tape below, I was taught. This is where, I really need to say these things. As in, our organization gathered us together, all of us, as of that time, I was like 15 years in the profession, and taught us the basics of core communications. I was 15 years into the profession. You want to tell me that because you have a flare my little toe? There is no flare. Don't get into a classroom and go and learn it. There is no flare. I don't want to hear it. That's why you'll be doing the kind of thing that those people did. Flare. Only like flare. People that say you have a flair for sewing, don't go and learn how to cut now. Don't go and learn how to stitch. You have a flair means there's interest, but you still have to get in and learn the basics. There is nobody that doesn't need to be taught. I don't understand why in our profession people are afraid of the classroom. And then you'll be saying you don't have a seat on the table. Why will anybody give you a seat on the table? Every other person went into classroom for theoretical knowledge as well as practical knowledge. You are running from theoretical knowledge. So you don't even have the language of your profession. You don't have the language. So when you are talking, people are seeing you as somebody who is just, yeah. So anyway, so pursue certification and attend training courses. I must confess, I myself, I was very bad with the certification thing. I hardly ever did certification when I was working. It's just much later in life that I started doing it. Was a big mistake. I would really counsel you not to fall into the same trap that I did. But then this was the thing. Even though I didn't have certification, I had training because my organization was a learning organization and they really, really trained us. So I had training, major as in local plus international. Are you feeling me? You feeling me? I had it. Oh, the person you are looking at. I am highly, forget skill. I am highly trained, highly. So I don't want you to live with I can't even begin to tell you the level of training. Trained as in I'm so trained. Hey, the hours of training, because my organization, they're not playing. I work for an international company. They're not, do you understand? They're not playing. They are not playing. So if you think that it doesn't come cheap, do you understand? You have to go and learn. And that's why when we started from, our definition was theoretical and practical knowledge. There's a place for theory, there's a place for practice. Don't live your whole life doing only practical. People will see it, they will know. Like me now, I always tell people, if I sometimes I'm called to be a recruiter on a panel, don't pray for me to ever be on a panel with you because I can pick out those people who there is no substance. I will 2 seconds, just open your mouth, I can tell, both for contractors and for people employing for a job. As in, don't pray to ever meet me on a panel if you are somebody that you are running from classroom, because you won't even have the language. And there are certain things that you will say, people will know, oh, this person is really in the space. So anyways, so that's it. So attending training, then so training and certification is very key. Now, our own strategic communications course, it provides a great foundation for anyone seeking to transition. That's the truth. And even if you cannot able to attend ours, attend somebody's own. Why do I say this? I say it because people have come to me, I've had conversations with me and say, Sola, I want to transition. And after listening to them, I'm like, well, for what this kind of, if you want a fast track to transition, please come for our course. And they've come and I have seen them transition. Even the people that I thought maybe the transition will happen like in a year or two, there's a particular person that attended a course with us this year. And the person is quite early stage in their career. And I was thinking, okay, maybe she should, I didn't really know how after the course. I was just like, okay. But one thing the course did for her was that it made her realize the difference between where she was and where she needed to be. I got a phone call from her like last month saying she has gotten a job as a communications lead. My mind was blown. Whereas the conversation that me and her had as at the beginning of the year, she herself couldn't even comprehend herself being in that position. Then I asked her, I said, okay, now that you've got a job, congratulations, very good, big brand. awesome. I said, let me see your 90-day plan. She sent me the 90-day plan. My goodness. As in I couldn't add anything. I had nothing to add. I was like, man, I said, man, you have finished them. I said, but compared to how she was when, we had the conversation earlier on in the year, because what the course does is it opens your mind to knowing what it takes to be a core communications professional, practitioner, or leader. Two things we introduce you to: the strategic communications framework, end-to-end, and the stakeholder management framework, mapping process, identification, and how you integrate the two. So that is it. So that's the process. So you get training, you get certification, you volunteer, you join professional association. That is it. And then for some people, it will be longer, earlier than others. But opening your mind. I mean, at the last course we had, the feedback that one of the participants said at the end, which I really appreciated, she said that one thing she likes about the courses that we take is that it opens, she said, your point of view. It opens your point of view, and it just changes your perspective. Because for me, that's it. Knowing what you do not know is the beginning of growth. Because for as long as you do not even know what you do not know, do you understand? You can't even move. You are there flexing in the in the ignorance. So what this, not even my course alone, but any course that is really focused on those basics, it opens your mind to what should be the breadth of it. Now, what the strategic communications framework and what we teach in the course is based on what I have seen work, what I use, how I relate. And for that reason, that's why I am able to function across sectors. So I work in private sector. I am also increasingly beginning to be called into public sector context, done work with development people, and also political context too. People call me. Personal injury matters, personal legal cases too. I am called into it. In fact, it's beginning to, people are not even bothered about, the fact that, she came from private sector. It's not even an issue anymore, because they now understand that Sola knows how communications works. I am a core communications person. Core. Do you know what they call core? Core. I am core. Hardcore. I'm so core that, in fact, I have entered it. I have, look, just go to the only thing holding me back is time. If I had enough time, I would have written at least 10 books on communications. 10. But because I have only 24 hours in a day. There is a lot that I'm doing. Otherwise, there is a lot in my head that needs to come out. So I'm just saying that, and like I said, it's because of training, it's because of reading, application. I am a very classroom person. One thing that I think that God has done for me, which I'm grateful about, and I cherish this opportunity, is the opportunity to also transfer that knowledge. And I think that for me is the gift, because a lot of us in our profession, we have experts, a lot of people that are experts like me, or even better experts than me, but they're not very good at transferring that knowledge. And I think some of them also involuntarily give people the idea that it's only about job shadowing. No, it's not only about job shadowing. And if you're planning to work internationally, that is where the gap will show. Those of you planning Canada and other places, because when you get there, you can't wing it. You can't wing it. For instance, they do a lot of communications research. In those countries, you can't just come to them and say, I feel we should do a campaign. They'll be like, where's the data? What data are you relying on to say that you need this, you're targeting these people? For instance, for them, like this example that happened with this energy company that did this influencer approach, it would never have happened abroad, because the strategy would have been such that they would already have had a collection of people that potentially could have been influencers that they use. They will never ever, there's certain influencers that it will never, as in, the day you mentioned, they they will sack you that day, that please, who brought this person here? Do you understand? They'll be like, blood of Jesus. Do you understand what I'm saying? It will never happen. But here it can happen in Nigeria, because anyhow, we just do things anyhow. It will never happen, because for them, even the influencer strategy, you must have done a research work to justify why you think an influential strategy makes sense for you at this point in time. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the way they operate. in that part of the world. So yes, Abiodun, you are saying with this distinction you have made, will it be right to say that PR is more traditional and reactive and approachable comes embodies a brand new community of intentional oh whoa, this might be apt to describe that relied on the legacy media while Trump's. Yeah, well, I don't want to make the correlation between Trump and Kamala. Let's keep that off because there's a whole lot that we can say there. But because Kamala's campaign also used new media, but it was, I don't want to go into that rabbit hole. So let's just say PR in Nigeria. Let's say in Nigeria, because abroad they have migrated into strategic PR. PR and comms is more intertwined over there, even though very much weighted towards comms. But in Nigeria, we are still doing traditional PR because traditional PR fits in with our own culture. Do you understand? Our cultural way. Traditional PR is very cultural for us, and it's our comfort zone. So we're still we lean very heavily on it. We believe very strongly that so long as our stakeholders are on side, our investors are on side, we have friends in government, nobody can touch us. So we have more confidence on that. Whereas in the developed world, they know that no, you can still get into a whole lot of trouble, even if you have all those people as your friends. So they are more careful about their messaging. They're more careful about what they say and how they show up, how their messaging shows up externally. So I would say what you're saying is correct to some extent, but I will contextualize it and say more for Nigeria. I wouldn't even say other parts of Africa because not all parts of Africa are as traditional. I don't think. South Africa, for instance, is quite developed in terms of integrating PR and comms. South Africa too, everything is data driven. Everything they do is data driven. It's amazing. Even the work that they do for public companies, utilities and everything, they do, like if now like what is it, like maybe like the government wants to do this whole compressed natural gas rollout, and then they call a company to say help us with the communications. Before they come up with a campaign, they will first do data. Who are the people who are able to buy the CNG? Where is the market? What age are they? What's their income level? Which state is the key state? What demographics? Do you understand? What language? English? Are there people at this level? Which platform do we reach them? What messaging? Is it TV? Is it radio? You will first spend how many months doing the research ever before you even talk about anything campaign. But here in Nigeria, what do we do? No, go and give influencer. You just bypass all the steps from directives straight to social media. And you tell me you're not a communications person. You are not at all. Then when there is backlash, everybody's looking at themselves. I beg, let rest. Yeah, Adedoyin says, yes, even other parts of Africa are more strategic. Honestly, I think so. With PR and yeah, I think so. The fact that we don't even go on data, because like I said, if you do your data and your research work, there's some things that you should never even do. It shouldn't even come up. Because I don't understand. I mean, it shouldn't come up. I see a lot of stuff. I've seen situations whereby, even in your choice of MC, there are certain brands, I see them, they just call people from like entertainment sector. And I'm like, what is the link? Don't you know that influencers, there are different categories of influencers? I don't get it. There's some comedians that certain brands should never work with. It's not that you are saying that the comedian is bad, but is it aligned with your brand image and your personality? So just because that person is trending, just because the person is popular, and then even that demographic the person is popular with is not even your demographic. So I just don't, again, like I said, there's just a lot of confusion. But I think we professionally, we need to get our act together, because otherwise we will just continue to stay at that working level. And, the thinking needs to be elevated to a point whereby people can actually see structure and professionalism in what you're doing, and that you are giving seasoned advice. So back to you, Karen. I think I've overflogged that issue.
You more than flogged it, essay. Medina was already echoing your core. Your core communications, yes. And yes, she's highly trained. And we have a testimonial from Toby Loba. She says your training was very instrumental for my team and I earlier, and the experiential part was very helpful. So yeah, that's from Toby Loba.
Thank you, Toby Loba.
I don't know if we can still take questions because we're actually out of time. Maybe one question or questions before the next question. Let's say.
Yeah, so whether we should take a question, right? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, but we can still proceed. We can still go ahead.
Yes, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Okay. Okay,
This
okay.
audience is on fire, so let's go
It's
ahead.
really on fire. It's so much on fire. The engagement is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Timmy Tokwe. Thank you so much, Tobiloba. Thank you so much, Kenny Wilson. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next question. We already know the core communication competencies. We already know how to transition, which in fact to me it boils down to be ready to learn, be ready to sit in the classroom, just like Essay said. Okay, so our next question, Essay, what are the basic elements that every core communications professional should have? Emphasizing the word core again. Essay.
So yeah, okay. So I would say, I think I've already said it, and I think the it's on an understanding of the strategic communications framework. I think that is very, very key. Oh, sorry, let me just take Kenny's comment. She says sometimes I think the stakeholders are a major cause of the problem, because sometimes the comms person is proposing the things that works, but stakeholders at the top want you to do things that way. Kenny, you see, Kenny, I like this comment that you made, and God bless you for saying it. I understand these stakeholders very well. Do you know what I do for them? You are the decision maker. No problem. I have given my professional advice, and then you say we should do it that way. There's no issue. I will do it. But God, if God will deliver you into my hand, if it turns out that that problem has like the kind of backlash that these people experience, I will hang you out for dry. Do you understand? I will say, we told them, oh, as in disclaimer, I will go on an internal campaign and let everybody know that it was not the comms team. We gave a contrary advice. I will not allow you to hang that on us. And I always say this in all my courses to a lot of consumers. When I say it, I see them blushing. So I realize that, oh, so you people, you take on the blame for what is not your fault. No wonder. As in, and if it turns out well, then I've learned a new thing. Do you understand? Because at the end of the day, we all want results. So the next time, not only that I will sing it in everybody's ears that it was you people's fault that caused it. The next time another situation or scenario comes up, I would remind them. I say, remember what happened the last time. Let's not make the same mistake that we made the last time. It is because of, as in, I will repeat it. And what I find most times, what has made me very, very assertive in my role is that I've seen that most of the time, when there's a backlash as a result of something that was done in the communication space, the business leaders always hide their head. I have never seen one business leader come up to say, it was my fault, I take full responsibility. No, they always blame it on the comms team. Please, I need feedback from you guys. If you're working somewhere where they actually take the feedback, then then if you're that kind of person that you take responsibility, then there's no issue. But at the end of the day, they will say, and I showed comms, oh, and comms approved it, oh. No, you won't get away with it. So Kenny, don't worry about that. So I will remind you. So let everybody know at every point in time that we are obeying the person's, we're obeying the stakeholders, what they want to do. Because I asked myself, if you could do the comms, then why did you hire me? I don't get it. Why am I here? You might as well just do it yourself. So Tobiloba said, I thought I was the only one thinking this way, even to DJ. Especially too many things all mixed up at the expense of, hey, Tobiloba, even I thank you, even I honestly, there are some people that should not be. It's true. You should have a bucket of influencer. I was very strict on that in my former place of work. There were some comedians that you off-color jokes, racist jokes, lewd jokes. Sorry, I can't put you on any event. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You don't understand. It's not. My brand doesn't accommodate that. I don't care how popular you are. I don't give a hoot, man. My brand value is more important than however it is you think you are worth at this point in time. So, and there's no synergy. So you can go with the people who there is no problem with it, but then your brand ethos, you have to make sure that the people that you work with, partnerships, influence, it meets with your brand. Don't confuse the audience. I was very proud of Nigerian Twitter. They dragged that company. Oh Lord, I was very happy. Nonsense. Because I'm like, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. They dragged them well last week. They won't try it again. Sorry you. So, Nairametrics is there, Business Day is there. You left them. Although I think they still use them, but I don't know what made them then add this influencer strategy. There were there are even financial influencers on Twitter. They didn't use those ones. It was just a very odd strategy. So MC, let me keep quiet. Amaka said, I told you so. We documented evidence. Yes, so Oyinloluwa, yes, that's it. Yeah, we take the blame. Kenny, you take the blame. Ha! Stop it from today. Let it end with 2024. Kenny says she takes the blame. How? It must stop with 2024. It must not enter 2025. Kenny says, yeah, okay, thanks for that. Yeah, Cubs and BMCC, please. So yes, okay, that's fine. Okay, back to you, Karen. Yeah, we're almost out of time. You guys have been fantastic. Is it because it's end of the year? Please keep this energy. So, okay, yes. Go ahead. Karen, back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen the
Okay.
comment from Kenny where she says
Okay.
people think her own is too much when she starts singing brand ethics with choice of influencers and even more. No, Kenny, you are spot on. You see, you are spot on. This is what so you are a comms person. I can tell you, you are a comms person. This is the comms mindset because you see, you're even saying it. Brand ethics, brand ethos. Yes, this is how a communications person thinks. Because why would you be doing anything out of sync with your brand? You're confusing your audience and your customers. Why? You should never deal sponsorship or partnership with anybody whose behaviors, their areas is outside of it. Even they themselves, they are targeted in terms of what they do. I mean, I always give the example of one influencer on Instagram. She's a lady influencer. I follow her. I won't mention her name because some of the ladies said you know her. Well, she calls herself Black Barbie. And all of her photographs, she grew her account based on just she wearing really nice clothes and walking down the street. That's all she does. And she built her following on that. That's her niche. She doesn't have to do anything else. She hardly dances. She doesn't do all those. She doesn't cook. She doesn't do all of those things. Because that's how communications is. You discover your niche and you stay there. So all of us that come there, we come there because we know that that is what she's going to do. When we want cooking video, we go elsewhere. When we want dancing, we go elsewhere. And when I first got to know her account, she was like 700. There was one fantastic video she did, one lovely dress. She grew to 1 million. I think she's like 1.7. She's grown her account on that niche. All of her videos repeating the same thing over and over. Why? Because she knows what her brand identity is. She knows what her audience wants. So she's giving us what we want. She's not confusing us. If she changes her channel and changes me, I will go because that's not Jonathan. I know the people I go for the other things. But this one she does better than everyone else. So you need to understand that. And like I said, the communications mindset understands this. Yeah, hey, let's see. Hey, I knew somebody has named her in the comments. She has named her in the comments. Exactly. She's so niche in what she does. That's the way it works. Anyway, so so Karen, what do we do now? I think we're almost, in fact, we're out of time.
Yeah, we're already out of time.
Sorry, I'm seeing so many comments here. Need an excellent comment in essence. Yeah, so yes. So Obatayo is a corporate MC. So I'm flashing her name for those of you who would like to be interested in her. And that's the thing. She's corporate MC. She does MCs on the corporate levels. And so you really, really need to watch out. I mean, in those days, I remember in my former job, there was a particular corporate guy that I used to call. You know, he no longer does MC. I don't want to mention his name because he was just as in when he's on stage, you can go to rest. He's not going to upset things. People are not going to be, you are calm. Not the ones that you're wondering, hey, I hope some of them will be using your MD self to crack joke. As in ha. So anyway, I think we bring this to a close now, Karen, right? So
we should
yeah, let's bring it to a close because I don't want to take advantage of people's time. We had said 1 hour, so let's keep it that way. If there's any questions, okay. Yeah, I just want to say a couple.
Yeah, and any question, but we just have one more, even if it's just for the next 2-3 minutes. You have the last strategic communications course for the year, okay, and it's coming up on the 28th of November this year. Okay, so we just briefly, can you just tell us about the course and how it helps participants build core communication skills. What to expect? What do this participant what do they have to look out for, look forward to in this course?
Okay, so and I think I've touched on it before, which is that this course is like the foundation course. I always say to people, if you are looking to learn afresh, or you want a refresh, or you want to unlearn or whatever, or you want to get what I'll call 21st century communications foundation, this course is good for you. In fact, this course is usually one of our most subscribed courses because I think people really recognize that it is really that kind of foundation. We really start off with the foundation. We have 6 modules, full day course online, so you can join from anywhere in the world, so long as West Africa time works for you. And then we start off with introducing the strategic communications framework, which is the process for setting up a comm strategy and a plan, which applies for any communications project or issue you are faced with. Then we do a deep dive into internal communications, which again is good for comms leads who work in big organizations and have to build a structure and a process and standards around internal communications. Then we do the reputation management piece as well, where we now talk about internal comms. We then talk about messaging, how to develop effective messaging, which, as I started off in the beginning, is the most important aspect of communications. Is what you're going to say. But then what you're going to say is not what you think, but based on the data, the insights, and what you want to achieve. And then we go into best practices and things like that. We have a syndicate session and all of that. Our courses, and then of course I put research and everything in it. What I do for every course, I have a standard pack, but based on the people in the room, I then contextualize. I change the case studies before every session. So when like now, by next week, I'll be looking at the class that we have a number of people already signed up. And if we have this particular class, we have some people on development. I think we have some HR professional services, and then I think core comms people. I need to just check it out. So we then customize it based on that, make sure that we have case studies that refer to each one, and then we take everyone through. So for me, the reason why I can beat my chest about this course and I give God the glory is because our courses, people give testimonials. I mean, Tobiloba, this feedback that you're giving me online, you didn't tell me before now. So, well, I'm really glad to hear this, And Tobiloba's team did the brand marketing and strategy course, if I remember correctly. Those two are one of our very highly subscribed courses. So our courses actually move the needle for people. And for me, that is it makes me very happy because, and that's why we have people who have come to do 2, 3 of the courses. We have a lot of repeat customers. And for me, it gladdens my heart because the reason why we started doing these courses was because we saw the need. I'm a consultant by profession. I will go into offices and I will see that a lot of comms people, they are left alone. Nobody is training them. Nobody is telling them. I was trained. So that's why even on my YouTube channel, you see a lot of things. Honestly, if I had nothing else I was doing, I would sit on that YouTube and just be taking. I will tell people, just be sending me topic. I will just be throwing because there is so much knowledge. I can't bring everything out in books alone. But so I just try, and then with time, and then sometimes but it's because I saw the need. If there was no need, I would have stayed in my consulting and not be bothering about this. I saw there was a need. I said, God will ask me, how can I collect the training? This knowledge, I can't carry it to heaven now. God, nobody needs it in heaven. Let me drop it here. Do you understand? So there's a lot of resources on YouTube for people who, you can spend that time. If you need more, just message me on LinkedIn and say, oh, shall I do this? When I have time, I'll do that. But then the training are for the people who really want like more. You are in that space in your career where you know that what got you here cannot take you further. So when you need that more, we come and we give you that more. So it's not everybody that should come into the training. If you really, you can still get what you need from the YouTube and all of that, or and other places on the internet, of which there are many. You can do that. But if you know you need more, please, you are better coming. I don't want, there's some personal cases I can tell you. A lot of people that have attended our courses, I have seen them grow. It's not something I can say by myself, but I shouldn't. These are things that are said to me. My joy is that I observe it. I see it. I can see the difference between when I met this person and where they are now. And we only launched these courses like November. It's just a year old. Imagine what will happen in 2 years. So please strike while the iron is hot. So that's what you get anyway if you come into our courses. But like I said, it's up to you. and whenever we will run them next year anyway. So, but we are shutting down for this year. This is our last course for this month of November, and enrollment stops on the 26th of November. And Abet has put the registration link in the chat. If you want to register, you can put in. Chima, thank you very much. Thanks for joining. Thank you. I'm glad this session was useful for you. And I say to people, I have never regretted, building my career in communications. I'm so glad. I thank God that when the opportunity came to transition, I transitioned, because to be honest, with the kind of gap I'm seeing, I'm telling you, there is work for me until the day God calls me home. That's what I'm saying. There is work for me. There is work. Because why? Communications, the internet is there, social media is there, information will continue to go out, disinformation
Exactly.
is an issue, brands will continue to have communications risk and messaging needs. So for
True.
me, there are more than enough people covering that PR space. There's enough, because culturally, PR is our strength as Africans. Do you understand? There's nothing new to learn in PR, to be honest, other than media relations, where I would say, okay, you need to learn about the media platforms, relationships with the people. But culturally, this is our, do you understand? We know how to do this culturally. But communications, no. Culturally, no. It's counterintuitive. That you have to know, because there's a science aspect of it, there's a practical aspect of it, there's a knowledge part of it, there is a application part, how you extricate. Sometimes, I mean, like in this strategic some of our courses, we always give people templates that they then use. I have had some of my participants, I love it when this happens, by the way. It happened with my last course. There was a particular participant, I think she's from South Africa, or Zimbabwe, one of somewhere in Southern Africa. So she had a challenge. She was supposed to do a project for a government organization, and she wanted to do a strategy. She opened the template on her screen, and then she called me and said, Shola, I've opened the template now. I'm about to start this work. Do you think this template is enough for me to do what I want to do? I said, yes, that's why we provide the templates. Now, all you have to do is, these are questions. This template is a template based on the questions you should ask. Once you can answer these questions, that is your strategy. She said, okay. And she went, and she hasn't come back. So I know she's gone and she's done the work. So we give you practical tools. It's not an academic session. It's a practitioner session. What I give in my courses is what I use and what I have used in my international setting and in my Nigeria setting. At any time you see me, I cannot talk about it, but I'm consulting for private, I'm consulting for public sector as well. Whether I tell you or not, just agree, just know. And there's a political conversation somewhere that I am involved with pro bono. All on the basis of what I know about how communications works. So on that note, I will give it back to Karen. Thank you, everyone. You've really stayed, though, even though we overstayed, but thank you. You stayed.
The audience have been amazing. They have been super, super amazing. Thank you, Adedoyi, Temitope, Damilola. Damilola is just asking a question, though. I don't know. But I
Okay,
think she's asking, do
okay,
you
do I
think
think
AI,
AI is a
yeah,
threat
is a
to
threat to
No,
communication?
it's not. It's not a threat at all. AI, thinking of AI is very static. Have you seen the way AI thinks? In fact, this question, Damilola, you should have asked me from the beginning, because for me to answer this question is too much. Okay, so let me first start. How do I use AI? What I use AI? Like, for instance, I'm developing a presentation pack for a training. So there are some questions when I want to do a bit of a research on a particular topic. I just want to see what's out there. I put it in the Google search. It now has an AI option, and then it brings down a screen grab. Sometimes I read the screen grab, I'm like, what rubbish is this thing saying? Because I know the truth. I'll be like, I beg. Sometimes I look at it, I'm like, okay, this is a good summary. This actually presents what really happened here. Then I take that entire screen grab and I put it in my presentation with the AI written on it, so that everybody knows that this is a copy and paste based on the summary that AI generated. But my entire presentation is still based on my own research and my own understanding. I also, how else again do I use it? Of course, I use it when I'm doing my visuals and my things like that. But like I said, when people, I had a situation recently where I was asked to review a document and it was sent to me. And when I read it, I was like, why is this document sounding so generic? It was supposed to be a strategy document. And I was like, this is not sounding correct. So I did an AI check, and lo and behold, that document, sections of it was 100% AI generated. I was really livid because why did this person send me an AI generated document? What does that tell you? That tells you that AI is not able to fool even me. I could see it because you're supposed to have sent me a strategy, and this again happened to me. So somebody used to send me one writing. The person told me, "Oh, I'm always on the lookout for good writers." And this person, thinking they were talking to Gen X that does not know anything about technology. This person, said a lot about writing, and then sent me something. When I saw it, because what AI does, have you ever seen? AI is very, I don't know how to make. It's just lacking soul. It's just parroting things to you. It lacks the soul of it. So when I saw it, I was like, this thing is factually correct, but I'm missing the context. I'm missing this look is too generic. I did a check, 100% AI. I was like, bro, please now. He now started trying to bamboozle me, thinking, they thought they're talking to Gen X. That this mama, what does she know about AI? I'm like, better go and check my credentials. Well, I'm Gen X, though, but I'm millennial in my mind and I'm Gen Z in my soul. Do you understand? So don't try me. So anyway, I now told him that, look, I have actually gone shopping to look for different types of AIs, AI checkers, and I've tested this particular one that I've landed on. I tested it, and we have seen within my team that this one is correct. Between me and my team members, we checked it with our own writing and others, and we were able to see that this was actually correct. So that's that. So AI is very useful, but to me, it's not a threat to communication at all, because the way it's communicating right now is not fooling even me. It's not giving, and for me, I keep saying this to my team members, people come to Sola Abulu because they want my lived experience.
True. Yeah.
Everything I write about, I have lived it. AI cannot duplicate it. So it's not a threat to me, but for if you are, I don't know, it's not threatening me. In fact, me, I welcome it, but I know how I use it. But
Yeah.
ever since I noticed that when people send me AI written material, even me, I can pick it out. Even when I didn't even know that people were writing through AI, I just read it. I was like, this is looking, it's like, and I want to give you an example because I think this AI conversation, we're not having it in the right way. So imagine now you go to your doctor, you say you have a condition, and your doctor uses AI to find out what is wrong with you. So your doctor types in your symptoms as you've presented it, and then based on what the artificial intelligence, who did not examine you, who didn't look at you, the doctor now goes ahead and diagnoses based on that. Is it not faulty? It's faulty. Why? Because the AI did not see you. As a doctor, there are certain things that you see visually. The AI works on the prompts that you give it. The prompts are limited. The prompts are a subset of the picture. So at the end of the day, good doctor is supposed to do the physical exam, do the scientific exam, and then come up with a diagnosis based on the holistic. If he or she will use AI, he will use it for a hypothetical case and then merge it with what his physical examination is telling you, as well as the history of the patient. So it is knowing how to use AI, not you now suspend your own natural intelligence for artificial. Does it make sense? I want to understand. What are you as in the intelligence is artificial, then you have natural. You now decide. You submit a writing that doesn't even have your own natural intelligence in it. It's a big, I don't get it. I don't really understand. So Adedoyi says, I think AI is more of a threat to those still operating on a very tactical level. Possibly. So that is why you would be, so it's like a textbook answer. So again, back to what we said about theory and practice. So AI can help you textbook, and for me, but practical in situ application is contextual. You know what they say, context is everything. Yes.
Yes.
And AI cannot give you that context. It can only speak from a generic perspective. Are you understanding me? And by the way, the AI was written by people living in the Western world. We've also discovered that a lot of it was white, male. I don't want to use the other definitions. So you, African, black, woman, I don't understand. Even medical science till today. Imagine my shock when I found out, those of you, you know that thing they call the oxygen, that thing that we used to find out your O2 simulation in COVID. Anyway, it was later found that even some medical anyway, I'm digressing, so let me not go on that tangent. But I'm just saying that at the end of the day, there is no substitute for natural intelligence. So the artificial is what we add to it. Just like if you are driving a car, even if you are driving a Tesla that is self-driving, that doesn't mean you should fall asleep in the Tesla and allow
Exactly.
the Tesla to be driving you. Airports and pilot also has autopilot. Does not mean you leave the plane unattended, the cockpit unattended. So you will have autopilot, but you will also have the capable human. Why do we have pilots in the cockpit in the cockpit? So for me, I don't see a threat, but I think people are not messaging about AI well enough in a way that enables people to do what they need to. So on that note, let me just you see why I didn't want to get into the AI conversation. I to take me on a tangent. Okay.
I mean, Lala dragged you into the conversation.
So yeah, back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Essay. Actually, my say will stay. Ah,
Ah,
okay.
people are already dropping off. Oh no, let's leave it like
No,
this.
we have to go. Thank you so much for joining. You are a very wonderful, wonderful audience. Essay, I know Essay really kept the fire burning, and we're really grateful to you. We're really grateful to you, Essay. Thank you, Medina. Thank you, Chima. Thank you, Abiodu. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, everyone, for staying even till this time. Thank you so much. So I believe our day has not ended yet, so we still have things to do. So yeah, I believe would call it a wrap now, essay, so that
Yes.
we can have the rest of the day to continue what we're doing and to plan our weekend. All
Thank you,
right.
everyone.
So all right. Thank you
So
so
we'll see.
much. There are a lot of thank yous for essay. Essay, you're
Thank
saying,
you.
you're saying it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you. I think I'm seeing some of them, but I'm sure I'm missing some. But thanks, everyone, for joining. It's been really,
A lot,
I've really
a lot.
enjoyed this session. So I can see that it was a right choice of topic, and I thank God for that. And thank you, Karen, for sticking on
Mm,
despite all the
yeah,
the
thank you.
trials. So
It's so good to be here. I don't even want to miss it because I really enjoyed the session. Totally enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Essie, for your time and all the nuggets. Thank you. I believe our notes are full. Thank you so much.
so
All
bye,
right.
everyone.
We'll call it a wrap. Bye. Have a wonderful afternoon and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.